Minister, my question wasn't about how many free trade deals we have. I pointed out that I've covered all of the ones that your government has signed over the last decade. When you raise the issue of leveraging, I think Canadians would wonder, why hasn't it been leveraged before? Like, why does it take this crisis to leverage trade deals that have been in place in some cases for a number of years? And if you couldn't leverage it over the last decade, why should they believe you will going forward?
Honestly, I can't complain. I'm very fortunate because a lot of people are in the same boat as I am. But I want to make sure it stays that way.
Poilievre is passionate about our country. He's passionate about the people.
The turnouts that have been happening, the polls, I don't believe.
I thought I'd see a crowd, but nothing like this.
Let's go!
Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Canucks. How you guys doing? Today we're going to be going over a couple of clips as far as the elections coming up in Canada, April 28th, slowly approaching. And we also got a couple of clips that I've seen that I just want to remind Canadians, what are you voting for? And if you're voting, are you voting for Canada or are you voting for your own personal progress? Because at this point in Canada, I think we all know, with the tariffs, with the high cost of living, with the crime, and also the places where we can't even afford to live, that Canada isn't the best place in the world. It is probably one of the better places in the world, but it's probably not the best place for everyone to be had and to be living right now, especially in the state that we're in. For the past 9 years, the Liberals have had government in Canada and within a stand. So let's get into some of these clips today and see where we stand as far as the polls, what the future looks like for Canada going into these elections.
Now, 10 days later, we see this lead is growing and growing, and now we have an average of 6 points in favor of the Liberals nationally. Now, of course, this is a weighted average. Not all polls agree right now. We see some divergence, but an average gives you a rough idea of where we stand at this point of the race.
And Conservatives, they need to beat the Liberals probably by 2.5 to 3 points to get a minority government. They probably need to beat them by 8 points to get a majority. It's just the way Canadian politics works. Liberals have an extremely efficient vote. They win a lot of their ridings with like 42%, whereas an average Conservative riding is won with like 53%.
Thank you. That was from CPAC. We had 2 votes from Abacus, one recorded from CPAC and one also recorded from the National Telegram. Shout out to the National Telegram. Thanks for those polls. Thanks for always being resourceful with your news. We have the poll showing that in one, the Conservatives are down by about 6 to 8% or 6 to 8 points. And then in another poll taken, we have them up by 2%. That is just to show you the imbalance of national polling. It doesn't really describe a direct number or a for certain number. It's more or less giving an average of what area they're doing their polling numbers to the surveys where they're taking those numbers from and when doing these surveys. Because if you're going to a Liberal riding and expecting to have high numbers for Conservatives, then you're going to be sadly disappointed. Whereas if you go to a Conservative riding, you may have way higher numbers than the Liberals or NDP or Bloc Québécois. But at the same time, when the polls are funded and ran by previous Liberals and have been proven that they've been ran and funded only by Liberal organizations, it makes Canadians have a sour taste in their mouth. And that's why a lot of Canadians will say right now that they don't trust the polls, because they're coming out, they're showing out, they're trying to make a change. They want to see a change. They want to see Pierre Poilievre as their next prime minister. And we do have other Canadians and other citizens that really believe in their mind state that they're driven by a different Canada that they're living in. That the Canada that they're living in is one of the best Canadas ever. And why would they want to change this? And why would they ever want anyone to do better than what they're doing? Go into a clip from Pierre Poilievre now explaining the reason behind why everyone is asking he doesn't have his security clearance. And he will explain it once and for all for those in the back who haven't heard him the past 500 times that he's explained the reason why and the policies and the political games of why he is not getting his security clearance. Now, listen close, because for all the haters, debaters, and Liberals, listen up.
Explain once and for all the situation with your security clearance.
Well, first of all, I've already had the clearance. I was a minister in a cabinet, so I've already been cleared. Secondly, what the Liberals have been trying to get me to do is sign an oath of secrecy so that I can't speak publicly about foreign interference without their permission, to get locked in to an oath of confidentiality, so that when an issue of foreign interference comes up, I have to risk criminal prosecution if I say something the government considers that it has briefed me on, even if I might have said it anyway. And the other day, example, I had to speak out because a Liberal candidate had said that he wanted to turn over a Conservative candidate on a bounty to the Chinese embassy, which would then send him back to China. And I talked about how Mr. Carney, for example, took a $250 million loan from the Chinese government for his company just 6 months ago. Would that kind of comment have been captured by the confidentiality rules that go around getting these security clearance briefings? It might be, but the reality is I will get the briefings I need when I'm Prime Minister to protect our country against foreign interference, but I will not be silenced or gagged in the meantime.
There it is. There's the explanation. So you heard why he could possibly face criminal charges if he were to get his security clearance and be trying to speak on national issues that affect Canadians all over the country, as well as anything that he would say that could possibly be considered secrecy, he could be taken to jail for or kicked out of the House of Commons for. So it is like a gag order. It's a setup. It's get this security clearance so that when we say we said something that we don't like you saying, now we'll just criminally charge you and we will get you charged and have you out of the House of Commons and completely eliminate you as an opponent. Any Canadian who's listening to Pierre, who sees what Liberals do and how they pretend to care, would know that this is all a game, that these guys are just pulling some waste movements, and that Canadians are a lot smarter than the Liberals are trying to portray us to be. Now we're going to go into a last clip today that I seen, and it really just rubbed me the wrong way, because when you talk to a lot of Liberal voters, this is the kind of reaction, this is the kind of like seance that you get from them. And most of the Liberal voters, I'm sorry to say, half of them aren't even Canadian half the time. Majority of them are literally came in through generations of immigration, or they just have no understanding of the real history of Canada, and it's all about themselves and their family, not about the actual country and region you live in of Canada or being Canadian. It's all about your self-preservation. And this clip just rubbed me the wrong way. For her to be saying these type of things is like, man, you ain't Canadian.
Experience been in Canada the last 9 years.
You know what? Honestly, I can't complain. I'm very fortunate because a lot of people are in the same boat as I am. But I want to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah.
And I don't plan on living the Handmaid's Tale in real time. So that's why I'm here.
Would you say that Mark Carney is going to be a better leader than Justin Trudeau?
I don't know, because he's going to have the same things he go up against. He's going to have the COVID epidemic. Like, you have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think you can compare one to the other. But I think now he's who we need because, I mean, he's the economist that can get us out of the mess that we're in thanks to Trump.
And last question here. What does this election mean to you personally?
Personally, it's going to make my decision if I go back to the UK or not to live. So I was born in Scotland. I've lived here since I was 10 weeks old.
Wow.
And if Poilievre comes into, I will be selling my house and I'll be moving back to the UK.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
I have a lot invested.
Did you hear that? If one of the candidates that she doesn't like, that she didn't vote for, she will just pack up and move her butt right back to the UK where she came from, where all of her family's at. It must be nice to have that type of accessibility of privilege, to know that you can just hop countries whenever you feel it's not benefiting you, compared to a Canadian who lives here, who has only one passport, only one citizenship, who has to live with the choices that you make that were for the benefit of you, and because they didn't make it for the benefit of them, of all Canadians, now we all have to pay as long as you're happy. That's not Canadian. We're strong, we're free, we believe in being courteous to each other, helping out your neighbor. That's how Canada was built, by helping our neighbors and trading with our neighbors beside us. So the fact that we have this monopoly mindset that if you're not doing as good as me or better than me, then you're not worth my time, that's just the most far-fetched, egotistical, smug type of reaction, and that's so far from being Canadian. But I wanted to wrap it up today with showing you guys some of the clips I had today. Bring y'all guys back on a weekly recap before these elections go down on April 28th. Make sure y'all sign up for your elections. Make sure you get your candidates in, whoever it may be, Liberal, Conservative, Bloc Québécois, NDP. It don't matter. PPC, even the Green Party. Just get out there and vote. Make a stance for your Canadian constituents, and make sure that your vote matters. It's only one vote, but guess what? It matters for all Canadians, and especially it should matter for you. And to all my Canadians, to everybody watching worldwide, if y'all could hit me with that HBO special, that's that help a brother out with that like, that subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. I'm out.